Introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 129.5 pounds, wearing the purple trunks with a record of 42 wins, 4 losses, 27 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He is the top-rated contender in the IBF. From the land of Gators, St. Petersburg, Florida, he is Diamond David Santos. And now presenting to my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the blue trunks with the white trim, weighing in at 132 pounds and 3/4, with a record of 20 wins, only 1 loss, 5 of those wins coming by way of knockout. From Las Vegas, Nevada, he is Stevie 2-Pound Forbes. And the referee and man in charge, Dr. Lou Barrett.
Okay, David. Steve. Okay, gentlemen, I've given you the instructions in the dressing room. I want to go to clean fight. Listen to my command. Shake hands and await the bell. Good luck to you.
Take a look at the rules as they will apply to this 12-round championship fight. There will not be a 3-knockdown rule nor a standing 8 count. Fighter cannot be saved with the bell in any round, including the final round the head, but rule will go to the cards after the 4th round. And of course, Rich, the biggest question lies over the head of Stevie Forbes.
That's right, and he basically did it to himself. First of all, inactivity, has not fought in 11 months, but most of all that weight and the weight loss. He told me a couple of weeks ago that he was trying to lose the weight gradually so that it wouldn't be too drastic of a situation, but he didn't get it all off. So you have to wonder about, from Forbes' standpoint, his motivation, his sluggishness in the ring. Already, David Santos tattoos him with the first combination of the night.
And you get 20 pounds in one day. I mean, that's unhealthy. There's no question about it. And to go out there and try to fight 12 rounds, you really have to wonder. And there have been reports that he was completely dried out, that he had actually vomited after eating a little bit just to try to keep the weight down last night. And, you know, I'm not trying to play doctor, but that plays havoc with your system.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him because he's lost his title, but bottom line is, Barry, that's unprofessional. He's worked his whole career to gain a world championship, and he loses it on the scales. That's ridiculous.
So we'll see what Stevie Forbes has, and we'll see if that changes the game plan of David Santos. Does he try to take Forbes into later rounds? Now, he's come out rather quickly here.
Yes, he has. I think he wants to take control of the fight, put Forbes on the defense if he can. Usually, of course, the man in boxing history and tradition, a good 70 to 80% of the men who win the first fight, the same guy will win the second fight by a large margin. But it's a different set of circumstances here.
And here's another thing to look at too, Rich. Here we are just past the halfway point of this first round, and if you look at Stevie Forbes, he's yet to break a sweat. And again, I'm not trying to play a physician here, but if you dehydrate yourself, it's a lot harder to break a sweat. It doesn't bode well.
He's not fighting badly here in round 1. Been a brisk bit of action here between the two. Neither man is settling for a feel-out first round. And Santos, on his part, has done what he's supposed to do. He got in great shape. He's been really focused and really working very, very hard. I also want to make one other point about Forbes and the weight, in that he did have a nutritionist, but he also had a strength coach, and he put on a lot of muscle and worked with weights, etc. for this fight. And sometimes when you do that, that does not go hand in hand with losing weight, because you put on muscle mass.
Yeah, and muscle, of course, weighs more than fat. And that said, that brings up a point too. If you look at Stevie Forbes, he does not look fat. He doesn't look out of shape. He's just too big for this division. Coming at the end of the first round. It has been an active round. Santos perhaps a little bit sharper in this first round. Let's go into the corner of David Santos.
There he is, Diamond David Santos, rated number 2 in the IBF, out of Florida. Really has conditioned himself. He's always in great shape, though. He's had problems with cuts. He certainly did in that first fight, and also been hurt by injuries, mostly hand injuries. And Diamond Dave has worked and still does in that jewelry store to gain his nickname. Across the ring, he would have been the defending champion and he lost the title on the scales, but you even saw the skills and mobility he has, and you can see in the corner, he said he felt good in that first round. He's really had the weight problems. He balloons up between fights. He was reportedly 160 to 170. This is only his second fight in 21 months. Here's a guy who weighed 2 pounds at birth. That's the nickname, Stevie 2 pounds. Forbes. He'd have loved to give those 2 pounds back yesterday, Barry.
Absolutely would have. So it's all about Stevie Forbes here. And Santos fought a very good first round.
Put that down. Okay, come on.
Round 2. Now Forbes talks about moving up. He just says he cannot handle weight anymore, which has become obvious. And yet this is a guy that does not have a whole lot of pop, even at this weight division. So sure, he moved up. And he may have to move up more than just one weight division. You would really have to wonder. He'd have to be really outpointing people.
Steve Forbes actually has fought 3 times over 140 pounds. He fought much of his career fighting and, weighing 134 to 138, and as mentioned, 3 times over 140. So, this just, it got him down this low to win him a championship. He did it, but it's probably not where he should be.
By his own admission. He says they're asking me to fight it the same way I fought out when I was 14 years old.
Good body shot there for Stevie Forbes. Forbes has a lot of technique. He's got a lot of ability. Whether he gets the chance to display that over the long haul is important.
Well, right now, he's not showing any effects of having had to shed a lot of weight in a big hurry and then blowing up 20 pounds since the weigh-in yesterday. Sean O'Grady has joined us at the table. Sean, I've been around the sport for a long time, and as have you, and I don't believe I've ever seen a fighter at this weight division come up 20 pounds from weigh-in to fight.
It's absurd that somebody would put on that much weight before a fight. You've trained yourself for weeks, training down, being able to fight on little or nothing in your body. All of a sudden, you pound 20 pounds inside your body. All of a sudden, you're going to be sluggish in a fight. You're going to be slow, although very fast there from Forbes. You brought up a good point, too, Barry, when you were saying that Steve hadn't even broken a sweat. Look at him here. He's not sweating as he should be sweating. I mean, we're in the desert. It's hot in here. You guys are sweating.
Yeah, and in fact, the water that you do see on his back is just that. It's water from his corner, not perspiration.
Very unhealthy. When you get knocked out, doctors have told me that it messes with your electrolytes in your system. If you don't have a lot of fluid in there, your organs can't move around correctly. It's like a plexus, and it could present a problem for Steve Forbes. Very dangerous to do this. It's very dangerous to take off that weight and then fight in a hard battle as this one should be.
Santos needs to be busier. He's allowed Forbes to be the busier fighter in this round. He's got to put a lot of pressure on Forbes and wear Forbes down here, I think. And Forbes' body would just think, would seem to think would just not be able to provide him with the right answers.
But David told me that's what happened in their first fight. He said that Forbes hit him kind of in the back of the head, behind the ear, and since then he was confused.
End of 2, and we'll be back.
Sunday night fights on Fox.
Stevie Forbes with his back to you right now in the striped trunks, and David Santos in the sparkly trunks.
And remember, everything's on the line here for David Santos today. Even though the title was vacated, a victory by Santos gives him the championship. But he's a recipient there of a terrific combination from Forbes.
Might have been a little clash of heads there as well. Forbes jumps on Santos, and Santos covers up for the moment.
Stevie, at least for the time being, still has plenty of hand speed.
Santos just covering up here, and Forbes dishing it out. And now Santos fights off the ropes. That gets the crowd going here at Pechanga.
How about this action? Stevie Forbes, in fact, nodded his head with David as if to say, yeah, that was pretty good.
A little swelling under the left eye of David Santos. Want to welcome those of you just joining us, and so far this fight has been exactly as advertised. It's for the IBF Junior Lightweight Championship. David Santos in the sparkly trunks.
And
Stevie Forbes, I'm sorry, Rich, in the blue trunks with a white stripe.
And this is a high-action fight with both fighters throwing a tremendous volume of punches here. Both are really letting their hands go, especially in this third round.
And this is the way their first fight began. The same way kind of started off with David Santos controlling the opening round, and then Forbes came back and swarmed with heavy punches.
Barry Tompkins, Rich Verrata, the champ Sean O'Grady. We've been talking about Forbes, who came in here overweight, lost his title because of it. So Santos can win it, but Forbes cannot in this fight.
And spent most of the day yesterday, Forbes did, in a sauna working out, trying to pull weight.
And that said, he came in here tonight. As of right now, he's at 152 pounds, almost 20 pounds more than he weighed in yesterday.
Needs to burn.
And I should point out, too, because we haven't talked about Santos in that vein, that he put on exactly 1 pound from yesterday. So you've got a guy in there now at 142 against the guy 131.
Big uppercut from Santos. You know, in that first encounter, it was Forbes who showed up at the weigh-in 3 pounds over. Now, he took the weight off, but he showed up over the weight limit. He didn't want to take the weight off.
Santos now on the offense. What a round, this third round. We're coming back.
Anyone who loves barbecue knows that chicken's chicken, but the
Santos knocked him back to the ropes. Santos said, come on in, and then watch this uppercut from Santos. Beautiful combination, one to the body, then one up to the head that brought Forbes to a standstill.
But something to make a note of, Rich, and that is underneath the left eye. We mentioned this in the last round of David Santos. There was a swelling that got greater as that round went on, and it is in a place where, should it continue to swell, it could cause some problems for Santos.
Oh, yeah.
No cut, but a real swelling.
Just on the left side, too, of his face. Just in line, direct line for that right hand of Forbes, his best punch. Forbes, it's a pretty style. He's a terrific jab. He sets everything up with that jab. Most important weapon in boxing.
Still to come, of course, our main event. It is a cruiserweight elimination fight. The winner of this fight will fight for the cruiserweight championship of the IBF, and it is between James Lights Out Tony and Jason Robinson. That is still to come on the Sunday Night Fights.
Funny sidelight from yesterday's weigh-in. When Forbes got on the scale and weighed 134 the first time, Tony yelled out, and everybody was worried about my weight.
Yeah, Tony has been as loosey-goosey as I believe I've ever seen him.
I've never seen him as relaxed and in a good mood. I just think he feels good about the whole thing, about him moving center stage once again.
Loosey-goosey, is that another one of the goosens?
Yes.
Lucy is on.
That's the 11th goose.
Craig.
It's only the second fight in 21 months for Stevie Forbes, who not only has had his weight problems, but also had a fight with Justin Juco fall out. He got injured right before that fight, a couple of days before. Here you can see that bruise on the eye of David Santos. He also had managerial, promoter problems. I tell you, it's all combined to work against Stevie Forbes today, but he's trying to overcome all of that.
And look at this, and look at him fighting. He is the one leading this fight. He is scoring with that left hand, showing the speed. And Diamond David needs to get going. Start throwing punches. Get your hands moving.
Can Forbes do this for 12 rounds, though?
Well, so far, he's done a great job. Now, admittedly, it's just a quarter of the way through the fight.
The turning point of their first fight, of their other fight, was in the 4th round. When Steve Forbes took control, took over.
When I mentioned in our opening comments that Forbes was fighting for his professional survival here, because he wants to be rated very highly. If he were to look good today in this fight, he might still be ranked #1, even though he loses the championship.
That was a 4-punch combination that all scored. Very effective.
Look at this. Steve Forbes fighting after spending all day yesterday in the sauna, fighting with a lot of energy. It is still early yet.
Very clean.
We're coming back. Last word with Jim Rome. Romey telling it like it is. The last word with Jim Rome. Weeknights at 10:30 right here on Fox Sports Nets. 5th round now, and Stevie Forbes so far doing everything right. The whole question is, how deep is the tank? Santos opens up.
Santos Santos had a real problem getting off in that last round. Forbes dominated him in round 4. David trying to come out a little faster in this round. David Santos has had one opportunity to fight for the World Championship. He challenged Joel Casamayor. Very good fight. He did win some rounds along the way, but ended up losing the decision to Casamayor. He's always given us good fights.
There's an action fighter. Let's go to the corner now of Stevie Forbes, where Sean O'Grady is with James Prince. Champ.
And James Prince, being the manager of Stevie Forbes, where did he get all of this energy?
Well, we gave him some ginseng. I think that ginseng helped him out a little bit, but as everyone knows, Steve's been off for 11 months, almost a year. So.
We could use a little bit of that ginseng. What is it he's doing in there that you like, James?
He's controlling the fight. He's setting the pace. As you can see, this guy is scared of it. He's bagging up, he's controlling the pace, and I love what he's doing.
Looking at these two fighters, you would think that Steve would be the one out of steam because of being in the sauna and taking off the weight yesterday. What do you think the next few rounds are going to hold for Steve Forbes?
Well, I think Steve may end up stopping this guy.
Here comes Santos, though.
Yeah, but he's not doing anything.
All right, guys. I don't think he's doing anything. I see a different story. How about you?
He's doing something. It was a right hand that got Stevie Forbes in trouble. Left hand, rather, that got Stevie Forbes in trouble. And Forbes is hanging on here.
He cracked him a good one, and Forbes is in dire straits right now. That left hook, you could just see Forbes shudder, and he toppled momentarily, but stayed on his feet.
And the right hand got there by Santos.
One punch turning the fight around here, Barry, in this round. It was a short, sparkling left hook from David Santos. And he digs that left hook to the body as well.
And now here comes Forbes right back, and Santos back into cover-up mode.
This crowd's in a panic here behind us.
This fight is a lot like the last fight, actually. And the last fight was an action fight. Santos fighting back again.
10 seconds. Hold it. Break clean. Step back.
Well, a big round for Santos.
Real good. Don't let that man get the points back. If you hurt him like that, don't stand there and fucking cover up. David, why are you covering up like that? Step out. You're not tired. You're fucking tired. All right? What happened just now? You don't need that. We wanted to fight. We don't want to lose it like that. Okay? I know we want to win this fight.
All right, watch for the left hook from David Santos.
You just keep going at speed with that snap.
And David gets him in trouble right there, and you can see that Forbes not answering back, just trying to cover up here. Santos sensing that he's got a man in a big predicament. Forbes amazingly got out of that trouble and came back. Watch this comeback rally from Stevie Forbes. He got that right hand right between the gloves. Forbes getting back to Santos, although I think that one tremendous shot of Santos probably enough to win him the round.
So we come to round number 6. I thought there was a short right hand in there, too, that kind of started Forbes going.
David, why do you hurt him and then cover up?
I didn't notice that he did that, to tell you the truth. The only time I saw him cover up was when Forbes got on the offense.
Yeah, go.
Still to come, our main event. That's in the cruiserweight division. James Lights Out Tony and Jason Robinson. In the meantime, this is a heck of a fight. 48-47, you have it for Forbes, as do I. Forbes got in over the extended right hand of Santos.
Santos is a pretty quick-handed guy, and he's got a good jab, but he doesn't seem able to jab with Forbes. Forbes seems to get the better of him when they do exchange jabs. And the swelling and bruising underneath the eye of Santos is getting a little worse. An ugly purple blotch.
Let's go to Sean O'Grady, and Sean is now in Santos' corner with Jim McLaughlin. Shawnee?
Jim McLaughlin, thank you for joining me. This is a pretty good match. Is this what you expected from David?
Yes, it is. I expected him not to cover up, but everything else he's doing beautiful. I know he can punch harder, but we know Steven's the best boxer in the 130-pound weight class. But David's showing a lot of skill himself.
And Steven is tough.
Nice body shot.
How do you slow him down?
To the body. Body.
Just like that.
Yeah, and just like he did, he almost had him out.
Jim, you're an experienced veteran fight guy. How close is this fight?
This close fight right now is very close.
What do you do from this point on?
We have to pick it up and take the heart away from Forbes.
You're going to take the initiative from this
point on. You know
what? 6 rounds down.
If he did again, he hurt him twice.
You got to go to work. That's right. They know what they've got to do over here. Jim McLaughlin wants to see more pressure.
Close fight, and Rich, another close round.
Yes, but I think I detect a little less in the number of punches that Stevie Forbes is throwing. Not a dramatic drop, but just a little less activity from him. I think he's trying to lure Santos into a mistake right here. Setting a trap as Forbes.
Coming to the end of round number 6. Pace down in this round.
You know,
Poor old Jason Robinson, just hoping that James Toney would never hit a man with glasses. James saying, are you joking? That's our main event. Still to come. Here it's David Santos, Stevie Forbes. Close fight here.
Quick start for Forbes here in the round. He's going to pick up his activity level a little bit here. So he can usually do that at least at the beginning of the round. We should start getting some questions answered though about how he's affected by all of the first weight loss and then the some weight gain. You know, ironically, the guy who I can remember duplicating or nearly duplicating that weight gain was James Toney the night between the weigh-in and fighting Roy Jones Jr. James lost a ton of weight fighting. He made the weight at 168, and yet the next day when they fought, he weighed 184. He put on 16 pounds in one day, and he was very sluggish in there against Roy Jones.
Yeah, and I really haven't seen any of the sluggishness from Forbes. Forbes still has some pop in his punches. He's not a guy who's going to get you out of there with one punch, but he's not pushing his punches. He's not throwing his punches all arm. Maybe not throwing quite as many punches as he did early.
I think Santos felt that little right hand that last one.
And that one slid through. Nice combination again by Forbes. Forbes picking his spots a little more, but doing it very effectively. Now there's a little swelling of the right eye of Santos.
You saw David Santos kind of step back, skip back a little bit and try to collect himself or gather himself. What's going on here? What do I need to do?
Well, Forbes really fighting a remarkable fight considering everything he's had to go through. Now Santos. If Forbes goes 12 rounds at this tempo, ginseng sales are going to improve.
Again, what could work against Santos is the fact that he's a guy who's weighing 131 tonight, fighting a guy who's 152, 21 pounds more than him.
Although just to look at them, I don't really see a 21-pound difference. I mean, I know that it's there and I realize that, but not just a glimpse. End of round 7. Let's go backstage right now. Sean O'Grady is with James Lights Out Toney. Sean?
James Toney, you guys know James Toney really well. James, I've never seen you so relaxed, so jovial, so happy before a fight. What gives?
I'm ready, you know, physically, mentally. I'm really going to do my thing. Everybody's doing all the talking, and he's going to pay tonight.
You've seen 100 of these Jason Robin type of fighters.
Right.
What are your thoughts going into this kind of fight?
I don't think about nothing. Think about one another. Just straight up hurt. That's all I'm going to do.
Are you looking all ahead? You know, there's talk you fighting Jarov.
I'm not thinking about that, but Jason Robinson, he's the only one I'm thinking about right now. I'll get to everybody else after I take care of Jason Robinson.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to KO his ass.
Oh, that's it. KO something. All right, guys, how about that? A KO, we're going to be looking for a KO. That's it.
I would consider punching to the head, I believe. I guess that good humor part of Tony has left him here a few minutes before the fight. But I do think that because James knows that he's in shape and motivated and being very well promoted in this in terms of this fight, certainly that he feels more relaxed and he's felt good about the situation coming into this.
It's a real moment in the sun for him. This fight, as you mentioned, has been very well promoted. Tony has got a lot of national range, a lot of television shows, a lot of newspapers.
He's even joined right into the comedy of Best Damn Sports Show period the other night.
Yes, he did. Zany. I like that word. Forbes continuing to pound Santos, and that left eye not getting any better.
Forbes flat-footed and actually the aggressor here.
Starting to bust up Santos, too. Good body shots, hard body shots.
Santos needs to start putting his punches together and land sharp punches against Stevie Forbes. For the first time in 2 fights, he really hurt him a few rounds ago. So he knows that he can do that.
Forbes pot-shotting him now.
Santos says he's been having no trouble with his hands. He's had multiple surgeries on both of his hands. I saw the day after he fought Max Gomez at the airport, his hands were swollen up about twice their size. In fact, it was the worst set of hands I've ever seen in a fighter after a fight. He did have surgery after that, repaired tendons, etc. And he said he's not having trouble. I don't see any excuses for David Santos if he does not win in this fight. He got in great shape, and his hands are well, but except for the fact that, fighting a guy who's apparently a lot bigger and stronger than him right now might take its toll.
That's true, but I think that Forbes is showing an awful lot just in the fact that he's not gotten off the gas. We're now 8 rounds into this fight. Stevie Forbes. Championship fight, although Forbes, who was the holder, can now not be the defender just because of the weight issues at the weigh-in yesterday.
And he cannot win the championship here today. However, he would certainly rack up a #1 contender spot for himself probably if he is able to win this fight. I think he's doing a good job. I've got him ahead by a couple of points.
Showing very quick hands, Stevie Forbes.
In between rounds, Roger Mayweather got up there and in his face. I didn't see Roger here earlier. I don't know if he got here late or what. But he certainly wasn't in the corner between rounds, but he was in that round.
Roger has a way of doing that, doesn't he? Kind of being the phantom.
Stevie Forbes won the championship with a technical decision victory over John Brown. don't know if they actually called that a TKO or a technical decision. They stopped because of that ear problem, if you remember, that John Brown had. But I think they went to the scorecards, and it was a technical decision for Forbes.
Sean Grady against Brown. Sean Grady back with us at the table here, and Stevie Forbes hanging in there, Chip.
You know, you just see the strength of Forbes, this extra poundage that he is carrying. I mean, he's really able to muscle around Santos. Santos really, right now at this point, is moving tempo. That's not his style. That's not how normally fights. Now, they have been asking between rounds, they want him to turn his opponent. What that means is take the angle, take a slight step to the side, and then hit him. And David's trying to do that, but he is really getting beat up from these punches. And it's an extra weight. He is not helping him in this fight. Santos, though, he showed up, ready to fight today. Showed up to weigh in, he made weight. Real pro. Good combination from Steve.
Santos answers, but they're all caught in the gloves.
Steve still showing that he has some energy.
David is boxing a good round against Forbes this round. He's causing him to miss a lot. He's got to get off those with those hands.
I think I'm going to agree with me some of that, what was it, ginseng?
Ginseng, yeah.
Oh, it's working.
10 seconds.
A little better round for Santos.
Wow, sometimes a fighter just has your number. Mosin, Forrest, I mean, sometimes, and it looks like that may be the case here. Forbes is so good, so fast with his punches. You know, in boxing, power rules, but speed really beats power. You can outspeed your opponent, even if he has a lot of power. Sometimes he can't hit you. That's really basically what's happening in this fight. Steve Forbes is really, really good having to pull the weight coming into this fight.
I think Santos could still win this fight. If he sweeps these final rounds, I believe he would be the winner.
Yeah, I have it that if he wins the last three, he'll win the fight also. But then you know what you and I know.
I think if he scores a knockout, he'll win the fight too.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
See, that's why you're the champion. You've been around this sport.
Going out on a limb. In fact, you guys would like me to be out on a limb, wouldn't you?
What I'm trying to get to is that I'm not sold on the idea that Forbes has David Santos' number.
Well, when you outweigh somebody, by 20 pounds, you better have their number.
Hold it.
In reality, it's kind of not really a fair fight. Although when you show up to championship fight, there are other fights that are not title fights that your opponent weighs much more than you. There are catch-weight fights that they have in boxing. They're not championship fights, and this one is not now, but it is scheduled for 12 rounds.
It's still a pretty close fight. Santos having a pretty fair round once again. Still to come, our main event, the cruiserweight title elimination fight. Jason Robinson, James Lights Out Tony. That's still to come. But there's still a lot of story to be told in this fight.
Oh yeah, and Santos really doing a terrific job of what it is he's trying to do. Turn his opponent, trying to move from him, trying not to get into a brawl with him. You know, when you're in there with a man that outweighs you by 20 pounds, you don't want to stand there and struggle with him. He's got the advantage. And I tell you, Diamond David is tough.
He does have Forbes standing around a little bit more than he was.
Santos getting good use out of his legs in this round. He's used the ring very well, I think, in this round.
Yeah, why not? Why not make Forbes come to him? Make Forbes work. End of 10.
The Bargain Network, the place to find real...
Santos, between rounds, they were saying you've got to have these last two rounds to win the fight.
Good instructions by Jim McLaughlin. Very fair and understanding going into the fight. He said, this is what you have to do. And they have been having him turn his opponent and move like that. They want him now to put more pressure on, to throw more punches. You got to steal these rounds. You got to get these last three rounds. They said you need them.
And he was saying that Stevie Forbes doesn't throw punches until you stop throwing punches, you being David Santos. So keep punching.
Oh, that's so true. You punch in waves. Wait till your opponent scores. He's going to be a little arm weary. Then you can counter back. Take the play away from him.
Santos letting Forbes take the play away from him here early.
Yeah, he's going to have to be more aggressive.
And got to fire back. Once you get hit, you're trained in the gym. Once you get hit, fire back. Right here. Got to punch back.
Santos didn't do it. Now he does.
David kind of going, he's the one that was pulling the weight. Although he came in on time. On the weight. I always wanted to step off that scale and go eat. And if you come in, you don't make the weight, you can't go eat.
Stevie Forbes, he really has the tendency, and he admits, I talked to him, and he admitted he just puts on a lot of weight between fights. He gets up way heavy. You can see him when you see him in person. You see him around Las Vegas at the fights, and you can see Stevie's face get puffy, and he gets very soft. He's just, and I would guess he was in the 160 to 170 pound range the last time that I saw him.
I see him at a lot of the fights, and he buys 2 seats. That's a bad thing. Towel, both of them.
He rocked him with the left hand, did Santos. This is a very close round, and it's a round that could go a long way toward deciding the fight.
He should pour it on right now, Santos. That was a good shot from him. He's landed actually the 2 biggest punches of the fight.
Santos let Forbes get off the ropes. This round, I think, is still there for the taking with 22 seconds left.
Problem is, they both know it. You have a 3-minute clock in your head. You know when there's 15 seconds left. That's when you try to pull it on and seal the round. Here comes, look at Forbes now compared to his demeanor in the first part of the round. Putting pressure, trying to capture the round.
Well, that's the end of the round, and I'll tell you what, I'm not sure who won that round.
That's a tough one because clearly it was a case where Forbes won the first half of the round, Santos won the second half.
Could go either way, particularly the last one.
I think they're both going out here with the idea that they need to win the round to win the fight. Really a good battle between these two, just what we expected in terms of intensity and the high volume of punches that they've thrown.
And you've got to give credit to Steve Forbes. I mean, this is a guy that had all sorts of tribulations, as we've discussed all through the evening, and has somehow managed to go 12 solid rounds.
Well, typical rounds, and still punching in his 12th and final round like he was earlier in this fight.
And I think you have it even, do you not, Rich?
I have the score. Actually, that was incorrect, that total score. I have Santos ahead by a point, 105-104 at this point.
And I have it just the other way. I have Forbes ahead by a point. So I think there could be very divergent scoring.
Look at this. Forbes pointing on. Santos saying, well, you haven't hurt me, but it's scoring.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I really think Stevie Forbes should think about hanging up the 130-pound division and operating 135.
I think he always said that.
And he can be more comfortable. Whether or not he's got a bigger punch there.
Santos has just over a minute to rally here. Because Forbes, I believe, has won the first 2 minutes of this round.
Hold it. Fighting with a lot of energy. A lot of spirit. Steve Forbes. He may have taken off that 20 pounds he gained before this fight.
30 seconds left in the final round.
Well, there's been no wanting for action in this fight. The action's been brisk.
Very few clinches.
Very good fight. Very good fight.
Absolutely. And it'll be up to the judges now.
Santos trying to fight at the end here, but he's too little too late. The fight is over. Well, we'll take a look at our cards and we'll take a look at the judges' cards, and those are the ones that really count when we come back. Santos and Forbes, excellent go.
I've always loved working on computers, and
Ladies and gentlemen, we go now to the official decision as seen by our judges. These are the scores. We have a split decision. Judge Raul Caiz scores it 117-111. Forbes. Judge Larry Rosadilla scores it 115-113 Santos. And Judge Adelaide Bird scores it 117-111 for your winner by split decision, Stephen Forbes. Also, per the rules, ladies and gentlemen, this is an important announcement. Per the rules of the IBF, although Steve Forbes has won this bout, he failed to make the required weight for this title bout. Subsequently, the title is declared vacant.